Yeah. We back with another one. Yeah.
What's going on, Juco?
We reacting over here. I'm El Jefe. We just gonna like and subscribe. Have fun. Kick back. Smith Cartel. Y'all like and subscribe because you're gonna love it. This is the Smith Cartel channel. Go ahead and like, subscribe. We gonna keep going fed until we go live. I'm El Jefe, the big boss, kicking at Third Coast. We going, running, smiling, man. We doing the most to my family. I wish you the best. Remember what Jefe taught you, boy. Say it with your chest. Big boy, big boss. I rock it in the South. Got these folks slugs and all this gold shining in my mouth. I'm the man, understand. Like and subscribe. We gon' keep spinning the block until we get it right. Yeah, that's real. Like and subscribe, that's the channel. We keep it real, give you more than you can handle. Yeah, like and subscribe. Smith Cartel, I'm El Jefe. All right. Smith Cartel channel. Y'all like and subscribe to the channel. The channel of love. Now, y'all like and subscribe. I'm Jefe. I'm going to be your host. So we got y'all another one. We got another Fear Thy Neighbor. So we're going to jump right into it. This is part 3. Let's get it, y'all. Y'all know how these things go. Like I said, the sound and everything be off because that's the way it has to do for copyright.
Neighbors can become the best of friends.
How's it going?
Hey.
Hey.
My cousin's stuck here.
Tell you what, I got some chains. We'll pull them out, okay?
Uh-oh.
Hey, thank you, Walter.
He thought he was a neat guy.
The best neighbor we've ever had.
One
Seemed like
argument,
pretty cool.
and they can turn into the worst of enemies.
I told you I need this to get to my property. Bob, this is my driveway, Bob.
He thought that he made himself clear, but
Get out of the way!
obviously not.
Once conflict starts, a happy home becomes a living hell.
Show yourself!
There we
He
go.
was hearing noises at night, and he didn't know what it was.
I'm gonna drive that boy crazy.
And in hell,
here
someone
we
always
go.
gets burned.
If this could happen, it's just beyond comprehension.
No!
I think it was straight up murder.
Ooh. Y'all farming my house. She's been acting up. Look at them woods. All I think about is ticks.
In the Santa
Ugh,
Cruz foothills of
mosquitoes.
California lies a beautiful retreat known as Lompico.
Foothills in California, Lone Pico.
Lompico is very serene and beautiful.
Okay, we'll see where that's
It's a
at.
perfect place to be if you want to be
Lompico,
kind of in the nature and
California.
still be able to.
Well, that's the name of the resort,
commute.
Lone Pico. The
Geographically,
foothills of California.
almost
I didn't even know
extraordinary,
California
but
had
it's quite
woods.
remote.
I thought it was all desert.
Bachelor Bob Hall has had a house
I
here
mean, I know
for
some of
several
the places
years.
have trees and stuff, but I didn't know they
Bob
had like
moved to
forests.
Lompico
I ain't never
because
been
it
in
was
no forest
quiet
in
and
Cali.
serene, and to get away from the hustle and bustle. Bob liked to live in a natural state where he was surrounded by forests.
Nothing wrong with that.
Bob's cousins,
very
Joan
calming.
and Stephen, love their visits to his hillside retreat.
Are you kidding me? You won again.
Grandpa Bob's a good sport.
Yeah, good sport.
He treated my wife and myself and my children like we were his brother and sister and not more distant relatives. We were always welcome in his house.
Bob was a quiet gentleman, very soft-spoken,
Okay.
and he liked to laugh.
For the most part, Bob keeps to himself, so he doesn't notice when Walter Stevens moves into the nearest house down the road.
Walt was in his mid-20s. He had just gotten out of the Coast Guard and was very excited about living up there. It was his first place. Walt worked for a machinist in San Jose. He loved to fix things. He loved to do things for people.
Walter quickly endears himself to other neighbors, Leo Weber, Dan Wilson, and Stella.
Walter was a very calm, easygoing, happy-go-lucky, friendly fellow, enthusiastic about life.
He was really like a mama's good boy in a certain way. He didn't smoke pot. He didn't drink beers when I'd offer him a beer.
I was predisposed to like him because being
Why are
ex-Navy
all of them
myself,
standing out there in the cold watching him
him
cut a tree? That don't make no sense. There's gotta be
This
some white
comes as
people
no
stuff.
surprise to Walter's
I ain't even have
longtime
my ass.
friend,
Come
Sue
when you
Frederick.
done.
Hey, workhorse, come eat.
They all loved Walt. He was just a really nice guy. Kind of like you would say a Boy Scout.
When Bob and Walter finally meet, his Boy Scout nature comes to the fore.
Nah, it's not happening. God, you're in there pretty good.
How's it going?
Hey,
Hey.
my cousin's stuck here.
Bob, right?
Yeah.
I'm Walter Stevens.
Oh, Walt, yeah.
Yeah,
you,
Walter Stevens. I just moved into Moreland's place.
Oh, well, nice to meet you.
Tell you what, I got
Gotta
some
get
chains. We'll
something
pull
out of
them out,
that.
okay? I'll be back in a couple minutes.
Under that
Seriously?
wheel.
Yeah.
Thank you, Walter.
No problem.
Walter came
Get it
along
moving, get some
and
traction.
hooked up the chain and pulled his car out. And Bob thought he was a neat guy for doing that.
Our rural setting seems the perfect place for their friendship to blossom. But that's not going to happen.
It looked pretty, but I couldn't live there. Not with all that snow. Getting stuck every day. I ain't got time for that. Oh, here we go. Bob and them got a little aggressiveness to them. Let me find out.
After settling in, Walter throws himself into community work, like fixing Lumpico's main road.
He was very helpful. We do all the maintenance on the road ourselves, and he worked with us all the time. And even though his property barely was on the road,
Hey, Walt. Oh, hey, Leo, how's it going? I'll be down in 5.
He put more energy than other people, enough so that a lot of us call him the best neighbor we've ever had.
Yeah.
The first sign of trouble in paradise comes when Walter sees Bob rumbling up his driveway.
Bob Hall wanted to access land that he had purchased by using the driveway.
These particular
here we
pieces
go.
of land are quite inaccessible. It's very rugged. Bob couldn't access the property through his own driveway, so he decided Walt's would be his access.
He should have asked first.
Bob wanted to, in effect, use that as his own road.
It's invasion of privacy, really.
In order to get to his upper property, Bob needed to cross over a fairly wide drainage ditch. So Bob put in a culvert, which is like a big pipe. And he would use this culvert as if it were a bridge.
Bob's been hard at work with some big plans.
Yeah, he's sliding all up the hill. I ain't got
Welcome
time
to
for
my
all
new
that.
home.
I'll just get in my car and drive.
Jacuzzi,
I ain't finna be doing all that.
story,
I
we'll
didn't
have
even
a
know
little
it snowed
pool
in
table that
California.
works, all this.
Shoot,
is
I
mine.
always told it never rains
This is my
in
dream.
Southern
Bob wanted to build a house
California.
that he could live
So how
in
you got snow?
so that he could rent his other house out for income.
I know it's snow
The
out
home
there.
was going to be larger than the one that he occupied currently.
I'm just messing with y'all.
And that the view was better.
It's just
You're up,
jokes.
up higher up on the hill. He could look out at the forest, and it was a little more
But
secure.
I ain't
because it
gonna be
wasn't
out
on the
there in that
road
snow like that.
his other house was.
Only cold I like is my AC and the outside when it's nice and cool. I'm trying to be out there freezing. Can't feel my fingers.
Hey, Walt.
You slam your finger into something, your hand, anything.
That's
Boy,
not
that
your
thing
driveway.
throb like
It's
a
a road
mug if
called,
it's freezing
Lilac
like
Lane.
that.
When we heard that Bob was using Walt's driveway,
Y'all remember back in the day, we used to play this game called Thumps, where you take your hands and put your hands like this, and then the other
Bob
person sit
believes
there
that
and
so-called
ding,
Lilac
and
Lane
you had to
is
see
a
who could
public
take it,
road,
and they hit
and
your
he
knuckle.
has every right to use it.
Boy, do that dude was
That's
cold.
my driveway.
Or when we was young, we used to get up behind all the people who had big
What are
ears
you talking about?
and
My
just
property is
bam,
way
right
too
on the
steep
back of their
down
ear.
here, so I
Boy,
just
them,
around
they'll
this to
cry.
store my gear.
Nobody
Especially when
in
it's
the
cold.
community knew that driveway as Lilac Lane. It was to his benefit to think of it as a road, even though it was Walt's driveway and went right next to his house.
Yeah.
I think they're part of the issue may have been the original records and the way that was all carried out and where the actual property
I
markers
think if he
were.
would have asked him, it would have been a lot better if you'd have asked him, hey man, can I use your driveway? But I think just doing it.
That thing is high quality, believe me.
Okay.
I'll get you the permits, or you can check it out. It'll all be good. Take care, Walt.
Sure.
Walt ain't having that at all.
We didn't think a whole lot of it, and something that these guys are gonna have to work out.
Unconvinced, Walter investigates Bob's claim.
Where is the line actually? And where is Lilac Lane, and who owns what part of this dead-end dirt road? And Walt hired a surveyor, and he got results.
So I am right.
The driveway in question is and was the driveway for Walt's house.
Ooh.
Walter believes he's entirely
Watch that turn up, y'all. It turns up.
Does next.
Oh, he done took it out? That's what he was cutting earlier when they showed the previews. I was wondering what he was doing.
Walt went up and ripped out the culvert so that it couldn't be used as a road anymore. And of course, that destroyed Bob's plans of being able to get up to the top of the property.
Whoa! What are you doing?
As well as wasted the money that he spent on the culvert and the time and the effort to put the culvert in.
I told you I need this to get to my property.
Bob, this is my property. You cannot put this culvert in here. This is my driveway, Bob.
Any unselfish person would be happy to share the road, but he just didn't want to share.
In a quiet neighborhood in the hills, the door to chaos is now wide open.
Uh-oh.
I didn't think the edge
Why are they standing out there staring at each other in the middle of the dark?
That kind of behavior is usually associated with someone that's sociopath.
This is not a driveway. This is a street. Move your car. Move the car. Move the car.
What? He done ran off in the lady's house while she got a towel on. She ain't even cut. What?
This is my property.
This is getting spicy right here. Let's see.
Neighbor disputes tend to be volatile, unpredictable, and sometimes highly charged emotionally. You never know what you're going to expect.
Walter Stevens has just ripped out a drainage culvert installed by his neighbor, Bob Hall.
Having his property damaged was very frustrating to Bob, and I think it was a vindictive thing.
Yeah, but if he's on his property, don't you think that was damaging his driveway?
Spend the money, you could change the drainage a bit and get two driveways side by side or some semblance of respecting Walt's house. But nobody really went that direction, I guess.
According to Bob, the driveway is really a public road called Lilac Lane.
Bob wanted to use Lilac Lane because he was building another home up the hill, and there was no way to get to it.
Welcome to my new home.
Bob sought help with getting surveyors out there to find out what was up, what was right.
That surveyor produced records that told Bob Hall that he was entitled to use that portion of that road.
No. So one tell them one thing,
After
another
that,
tell them
Bob
another.
decided to redo the culvert. It was taken out by Walter, and it was very costly to Bob, financially.
It was very disturbing that Bob would do it when Walt wasn't home.
Yeah, that don't make no sense.
And Walt would come home to find that. I think Walter thought that he made himself clear, but obviously not.
I mean, if it's his property, well, but it's the surveyor's fault now.
The message that Bob isn't welcome on Walter's driveway is soon driven home hard.
Bob's shed was knocked down and vandalized.
Ooh.
He had a pretty good idea who did it, although it could never be proved.
Oh, no.
Seems
Damn, he
reasonable
destroyed
because
it.
of the dispute to think that Walter Stevens had a hand in that.
It had to have been Walter.
How you know?
Even
You
if
his
Bob
mama.
isn't sure about Walter's involvement in this incident, the next one leaves no doubt.
Walt put a barricade across the road.
Oh.
It seemed pretty unreasonable that he was denying access for everybody to use the road.
I mean, mean, these are just juveniles, the way they're dealing with this issue.
Concerned for both men, neighbor Leo Weber attempts to intervene.
You got a sec?
Yeah. What's up, Leo?
Bob, you know Lilac Lane isn't a road?
And he said, Walt will want to give it to me. I'll win.
What are you talking about?
Bob actually told me, pressured him until he lets me use it.
Oh, wow.
That I drive him crazy and I'll get it.
Wow. That's crazy. So he's just gonna keep messing with him until he can get to be able to use it. This man done told him not to mess with it. Okay. Oh no.
The fire department had Walter remove the barricade because it was stakes put in the ground, cemented into the ground with a heavy chain across from stake to stake. And that would have made it very difficult for any fire trucks to get through to put out a fire if they needed to.
Bob is back in business, but for the moment, Walter has his attentions elsewhere.
Welcome to your new home.
All right, put your bags up on the table. Okay.
I hear if you help your mom.
When I moved in with Walt, he was doing me a huge favor by letting me rent there. I needed a place pretty much immediately as I was separating from my ex-husband.
Just up the stairs on the right is your bed, okay? And there's some fresh towels for you.
If we're sleeping up there, where are you sleeping?
He gave up his bedroom for my children and I.
Oh, you're paying rent. You're helping me so much. I'm just gonna sleep on the couch.
Me, Tyler, and Luke took the bedroom, and Walt Stevens slept on the couch, actually.
Walt, he's the kind of guy that would lay his cloak down over the puddle for a woman. He was a very caring individual, and he took a lot of responsibility for Sue and the kids.
Yeah, no worries. Can I get you anything? A coffee, tea?
I definitely think Walt Stevens had a crush on me.
Oh, yeah,
I wasn't attracted to him, and we became really good friends.
So she
It
friend
doesn't
zone.
take long for Sue to be dragged into Walter's feud.
Walt was
That's who he
gone
did
on a
to.
camping trip, so he wasn't even there. And bam, 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 bam. I opened the door to somebody I've never, ever seen before screaming at me.
Move your car. You need to move your car now.
Screaming about a car.
Wait, move your car. Listen.
I don't know anything about.
Move your car.
He freaked me
Oh,
out.
you messed
I
up
was
right there.
scared.
You messed up
She
right
was
there.
quite frightened by his behavior. She did call the police. Bob was demanding the car be moved because it was in the way.
They always park right here. They stop me from getting by. This isn't a driveway. This is a road. This is my truck. I can't get by.
Sure, that's not for you to decide.
It was very upsetting to Sue. She had no idea that she was walking into this hornet's nest.
That's not okay. He can't do that. Like,
It's fine.
I think Walt felt an obligation to protect me and my children.
No, he's just an old guy.
he's crazy. I don't trust what he's doing at all. Like,
He really felt that pressure, and he wanted to make sure we were going to be okay.
I'm gonna go talk to him tomorrow.
I'm sure it's not going to happen again. Just leave
I don't
it.
know. I don't trust him.
Time goes on, and the intimidation continues.
I'm there in the middle of the woods, just kind of walking around. All of a sudden,
What do you want?
oh, this is all bringing back a weird memory.
Oh, the
Yeah.
creeper.
I don't know what
Look
kind
at
of
this
person
creepy
he was.
boy.
All I know is how
He's
he
a
made me
creep,
feel.
man.
Scared.
A weirdo, a goofy. He's a goofy.
Sue fears Bob's ominous behavior will never let up.
I was in the kitchen. I saw Bob staring at me through the window. He was giving me this cold, blank stare. Freaked me out. Why is some guy staring at me? Why is he standing there? Shut the door and locked it. Locked all the doors. He scared me so much. I just got a bad vibe from him.
Soon enough, Walter himself becomes the target of strange occurrences.
And he says, sometimes I get these calls in the middle of the night, and it'd be like 2 in a row, and they just hang up.
Hello?
If you're getting phone calls in the middle of the night,
Again.
is that just a joke or a mistake, or is that Bob?
Wonder who that could be.
Then your power goes off, but you never got your bill.
No, you didn't send me an email. I didn't get it. You have my new address, right? No, there shouldn't be a balance. I paid my last bill. I'm looking at it right now. How could this have happened?
Bob?
Yeah.
Walter and Sue both suspect Bob is behind it all.
Walt was concerned about, what's Bob gonna do? Where's this going?
I definitely think that Bob was trying to drive Walt crazy.
He's a weirdo.
And one day, Bob is caught red-handed.
Yep.
Bob was stealing his mail.
That's
Sue
illegal.
had actually seen him do it.
Walt, I want my mail back.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah?
What makes you think I took your mail?
Just stop.
Yeah, he's a weirdo.
That would be so frustrating if you were a neighbor, and it's just a complete invasion of one's expectations of how you behave.
This is a felony. I mean,
Yeah, it's a felony. It's a federal felony. You can't go in there and take people's
Bob
mail.
thought was just to cause aggravation, getting back in a nonviolent way.
That's
to
not
Walter.
nonviolent. That's
So
illegal.
he took some mail.
That's criminal.
It was wrong, and he knew it.
Yeah, it's criminal, and he needs to get his punished
But
for
nothing prepares Walter for what disappears next.
One day he came home and he found his little car had been towed out of his driveway.
No!
And it had been dropped off a couple of miles down the road, and it had been left unlocked, and everything
Wow.
inside had been stolen.
it. Wow.
Walter is convinced Bob is responsible.
When Bob had Walter's car towed from Walter's driveway, I mean, that was a violation. That was like a crime against you.
Yeah, that's crazy. You're gonna push him to the right
Bob
place.
had a mission to destroy Walter.
I think that Bob, I think the reason why they keep saying Bob in past tense is because I don't think Bob with us anymore. Not after that, because he wouldn't have made the first move. It'd have been done for him. Me and him would have been out there, and then we'd have shoot. It'd have been 4th of July out there. And we got them woods.
When a reasonable person thinks about what these two men were doing, it's just ridiculous. They were both behaving inappropriately. Neither one used any common sense.
The dispute between Bob Hall and Walter Stevens has escalated from stealing mail to grand theft auto.
Yeah.
If somebody towed my car down the street with my tools in it and my tools got stolen, I'd be very irate.
Hell yeah.
And I would want to prosecute, persecute, or
I wouldn't
come
want to do
after
none of that. I'm
the
going
person
at them.
that did that.
You know why he's doing this?
I told him that Bob is doing these things to push your buttons.
Well, it's working.
Walter broke down, crying, and it was a sad thing to see. And it became this, how much does somebody work on you until you give in?
Yeah.
Are you erupt?
Bob also moves to put the drainage culvert issue to rest, once and for all.
When Walt was gone, Bob brought in a culvert and he cemented it in.
Bob! Bob! You're not gonna get away with this, you hear me? Come out here now! I know you're in there, Bob! Bob! You coward! You hear me?
This time, Walter meets fire with fire.
Uh-oh, here we go. Here we go. We got the John Deere tractor.
Walt was driving the backhoe up the driveway as I was making some lunch, looking out the window at him. All of a sudden, Bob came running through the trees out of his property.
Bob, what are you doing? You can't do that. Get out of the way. No, you can't. No. Get out here, Bob.
He actually stood in front of the backhoe
For what?
to stop Walter Stevens from digging anything up.
Hoping that if he was to stand his ground, the digging of his culvert would cease because he was standing in the way.
Get out of the way.
I don't think that's gonna stop him.
That's on my property, Bob. No. Move. Back. I do not want to hurt you, Bob. Get out of the way.
A possessed Bob Hall is determined to protect the route to where his
Oh,
dream home
he
will
crawling
one
on
day
the ground.
stand.
As Walt was going to put the backhoe onto the cement, Bob laid his body on the cement to protect it. I was dumbfounded. I could not believe somebody would do that.
Bob, move.
This backhoe is going from left to right, and
Yeah,
Bob
he in the
is
snow.
going right around with it, trying to protect his piece of cement. It was like this cat and mouse dance. My kids were freaked out because they'd never seen anything like that before.
Bob, no. No.
Why was he laying his body on the cement?
Walt, what are you doing?
Sue, get the video camera.
Don't move, okay? Stay right here.
He said, tape this. And I was like, okay.
By the time Sue
Oh, he
returns,
already dropped it on
Bob
him.
is sprawled on the cement in agony.
What is going on?
Out of the way, no. Walt, you can't do this. No.
Bob said Walter took the bucket and lifted Bob off the ground 5 or 6 feet and tipped the bucket and Bob fell out.
Well, I
And
guess he
on
learned
the
to
back
move.
of his head and his neck and his shoulders.
Guess he learned to move.
Walter tells a different story.
When Walt had the backhoe end up in the air, Bob grabbed onto it. And then he, was just hanging onto it, keeping Walter from moving the backhoe head around. And then Walt vibrated it, flicked the handle a bit, and Bob said that it fell down and attacked the backhoe.
This was serious. This was something that I'd never seen before. I called the police.
He pitchforked you? Yes, with the backhoe. He picks the bucket up and he's getting ready to crush it. He tried to pitchfork me with it.
Walter Stevens gave one version of the story. Bob Hall gave another.
He just showed up there. And he got in the way. He just threw himself in front of me.
Unfortunately, the police, presented with two different stories, were not able to determine what happened.
Go see a doctor about that neck there, okay?
Thank you, officer.
No problem.
There just wasn't enough information and evidence to prove or disprove.
He should have dug it up
which
while the
version of
cops was
story
there.
Was accurate.
Well, until we get everything resolved, leave that culvert in place, okay?
But this is my property that he put that there. Why
understand.
do I have to suffer through this?
You're right.
The backhoe incident showed that Walter was absolutely not going to put up with what Bob was doing, and Bob showed that he would go to any lengths to continue this process that they were in. He would risk his own safety.
Crazy.
Bob
For a
went
piece
to
of
the ER,
cement.
and
Piece of
he called
concrete.
me, asked if I would come and pick him up, which I did.
That's when he gonna dig it up.
I pleaded with him all the way back to Lompico to please don't go home. And he said, no, I'll be fine.
Bob, I'm really worried about you.
We suggested that Bob move away from there because of all the aggravation that he was living through.
I can't
I
leave.
mean, that he was giving people,
I
yeah.
love it here.
He didn't want to leave because he wanted to keep bugging
Bob
that
is
man.
resolute. He will finish building his dream home in the woods, no matter what the cost.
We were concerned about his safety. His friends at work were concerned. Family members clear back to South Carolina were concerned. And yet, Bob
Were they
was
concerned
a
about
man
his
that felt like
safety
he could
or
take
about
care of
how he
himself.
was acting, his mental health?
Someone will be taken care of, all right.
This has gotten pretty extreme. How much farther can it go?
Why didn't they move, either one of them? I think they were both very stubborn, and they both thought they were right.
Since police can't determine who's in the wrong, Walter Stevens and Bob Hall must settle their feud themselves.
Bob had some guns in his home, one of which was a pistol next to his bed. He probably felt that this was some protection for himself, because if Walter was going to do crazy things, like
lay in front of a backhoe
he could take care of
on
himself.
some concrete. Yeah, crazy. Yeah, right. Your son is loony,
Walter
man.
also buys a
I'm
gun,
sorry
causing
to tell you,
friend
but your
and
son
tenant
is
Sue
loony,
Frederick
and you're
to
coping
say
with it by
enough is enough.
trying to say that he's just a normal person.
I
He's
didn't
not.
wanna even really be up
That
at
man
that
pushed
property.
up in
I
a
didn't
woman's
wanna be a
door
part of what
while
was
she was in
going
a
on,
towel,
and
dude.
I didn't want to
Your
deal
son
with
is a
it.
creep. He's a goofy.
I have to leave.
Why?
You just
It wasn't
defending that.
my
You one of them
fight
ones, boy.
to fight. I didn't want to be involved.
She had a Ted Bundy on her hands, but she was like, I love him. He's my son. He's good. These type of women that'll ruin the world.
For Walter,
He was
things only
scared.
get worse.
He was scared. He out there harassing that lady and everything, but he's scared. Come on
Bob
now.
served him with a lawsuit claiming that he injured him.
Mentioned in this paperwork was the vandalism to his property and, of course, bodily injury. And those are just a few of the things that were listed.
This was all weighing on Walt financially. He was going to lose me as a tenant. He was paying for a surveyor. He was going to have to pay a lawyer. There were so many things.
Bob had a real problem. For some reason, he hated Walter and was determined to destroy him at any cost. That was clear to me. He would stop at nothing.
Bob seemed absolutely, he's going to get what he wants the way he wants.
He was crazy. He was a loony.
Bob's behavior
was a damn
continues
loony.
to push Walter closer to
But
the
his
edge.
mama said he was a perfect angel.
Walter was
And
hearing
she the
noises
reason he was
at
the way he
night,
was.
and he didn't know what it was.
Get off my property! Now!
And he thought that a Bob could be, coming around his house at night.
Show yourself!
Walt was definitely a little jumpy, and he was definitely getting paranoid.
The deterioration of Walt's emotional state, that was what I observed. I saw him get more and more stressed.
I'm gonna drive that boy crazy.
More and more anxious.
I'm gonna drive that boy crazy.
To where you make her click. And you get what you asked for.
Finally, one cold California morning in 1998, the conflict reaches its climax.
1998, boy.
On
No,
Friday
before
morning, November 20th,
9/11 and
outside,
everything. That was a
and Walter
better
came
time.
outside. He heard a noise. He went back into the house and picked up his pistol.
Okay.
And he said, "Who goes there?"
Show yourself!
And there was no answer. He saw a figure walking towards him.
Gonna hit him.
He saw a flash of light.
That day also happens to be a special one in Bob's career.
It was going to be his last day. They were actually planning a party for him, a going-away party. He was very popular where he worked.
But Bob is late for his own retirement party.
He never showed up for work.
Uh-oh.
The people at his work had the sense to call the sheriff's department to go out and do a home security check.
Uh-oh.
Deputy Sheriff Stephen Watson
Bob ain't
and
show
his
up.
partner Deputy Dillard are sent to investigate.
It was very unusual from what we were hearing for him not to have arrived at his work function and not have notified anybody that he was going to be late or not able to attend at all.
Mr. Hall?
So our level of concern had certainly become elevated.
Anybody home?
The other deputy noticed that there had been a fire in the fireplace and the home was still warm, but everything appeared to be in order. He saw no evidence that would cause concern. He looked through his personal things and found a phone book. That deputy began to call Mr. Hall's relatives.
I decided to check the surrounding area to see if Mr. Hall may have wandered off and perhaps fallen and injured himself or become ill or somehow otherwise incapacitated. It was at that time I heard a male's voice.
Hey!
From a neighboring residence.
Walter Stevens appeared to be kind of bounding down his driveway towards the deputy.
The first thing out of his mouth was he wanted to know if I was here about his fire.
Are you guys here about my fire?
I'm burning some paint cans. I saw you drive by quickly.
I saw you pull up.
I explained to Mr. Stevens that I wasn't here about his fire.
Actually, we're here about your neighbor, Mr. Hall.
Oh, can't say I like the guy.
Walter Stevens kept bringing up the fire on the back of his property.
Anyway, I thought you guys were here because of my fire.
Nope, just looking for your neighbor.
And I thought that was unusual. A normal person would be concerned about his neighbor as well, I would presume. But Mr. Stevens was more concerned about the fire.
Hi, Sheriff Dillard, Santa Cruz County Sheriff.
Meanwhile, Watson's partner has reached Bob's sister-in-law.
Yeah, we're trying to locate Bob Hall. I'm actually calling from inside his house. It appears he's gone missing.
Know where we can find him?
Nope, haven't seen him.
She immediately exclaimed that it was Walter Stevens. It must have done something to Bob, that he's responsible for Bob being missing.
Okay, Walt Stevens. Walt, yes, his neighbor. Mr. Stevens? Yeah.
Deputy Dillard began speaking with Mr. Stevens about Bob Hall. Meanwhile, I excused myself, said that I wanted to look at the fire that Walter Stevens had made me so curious about. Inside the burning pile, there was some lumber, including 2x4s and 2x6s, which I thought was
don't
odd
tell
because
me.
the lumber looked like it was
Don't
usable.
tell me. I think
And there was
it
also,
just
even
hit
more
me. Did he put
strangely,
witchcomb in
a
that
couch
fire?
on top of the fire.
No.
And I was struck by the odor. The fire smelled very strongly, something that seemed like it should be familiar to me. It wasn't consciously
Burning flesh. That was like cooking
certain
flesh.
what I was smelling, but something was wrong, and it wasn't just
It was
paint
cooking.
cans. And then I noticed something underneath the couch.
Move this couch out of the way.
And try.
I asked him to get a piece of lumber that was laying nearby and to move the couch with a piece of lumber. It looked like he put almost no effort into it.
It's not gonna budge.
And only half-heartedly tried to move the couch and just moved it a little bit.
Put it down. Put it down.
And then I saw something that at first I thought was maybe the leg of a piece of furniture, like a chair. But when I took a closer look, I was shocked to find a human arm.
He
And I
fried
realized that I
Bob
knew
up.
where Bob Hall was.
Ooh. He burned him up. Hey, you pushed that man to his limit. He pushed him to his limit, man. What you expect this man to do? That man lost it. That man lost it.
I had not consciously expected to find a body under that fire.
I wouldn't have either, brother.
That was my first murder investigation, and
Popped your
it's
cherry.
an event I'll never forget.
With our neighbor Bob
won't be
Hall
bugging nobody
reported
else.
missing, police have made a gruesome discovery in Walter Stevens' fire pit.
I pulled my service weapon and I pointed it at Walter Stevens and I said,
Sir, I apologize if that's not what I think it is.
"Then let me see your hands." Walter Stevens immediately put his hands up. He said, "Before you go any further, it is what you think it is."
Why did Walter choose to burn the body? Why? I wish I knew.
I can't think about him doing that, and it seems unbelievable to me. All this years later, 17 or so years later, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, but he pushed that man. He kept pushing him
Walter
and pushing him
admits
and
to
pushing
killing
him.
Bob and is
That man
arrested.
tried.
The cop told me that one neighbor had killed another neighbor, and I instantly thought that Bob had just killed Walter.
Yeah, that's what they would
The
have thought.
assumption we both made
But
was
that man lost it.
Bob had killed Walt just because of the nature of their relationship.
I was very surprised when I found out that it was Bob that was dead.
We all were just absolutely devastated.
Yeah,
that this
that's
could happen.
crazy.
It's just beyond comprehension.
It is. It's a
Facing
crazy,
possible
crazy
death
thing.
sentence, Walter pleads self-defense.
he said it all happened real quickly, and he used the word blur, you know. It was still dark outside. He heard a noise, and he said, "Show yourself!" And there was no answer. And then the figure started walking towards him.
And the fact that he was holding this shiny silver object made Walter fear that he had a gun.
Yeah. It turned out to be a big stainless steel thermos. And he said Bob started hitting him with the thermos. They fought for a little bit, and then Walter bent down and picked up a rock, and he hit Bob over the head. That was it. He was dead.
Just a rock, that's all it took.
My belief is that Walt went into shock.
Yeah.
He didn't know what to do.
He blacked out.
And then he decided to get rid of the body the way he did.
I don't think that he was in his right mind. Who would do that?
Yeah, he lost it. He went into
If
shock.
you
He
act
was
in
in
self-defense, you haven't done anything wrong because you acted to prevent injury to yourself.
Yeah.
He appeared to be accepting
after
of his
the fact.
fate, which we assumed would be a few years in prison.
But as the investigation continues, Walter's defense crumbles.
In the muzzle of the gun, the forensic experts found tissue and blood that were Bob Hall's, but also some dirt, some earth from the ground. And that tells us compellingly that Bob Hall was down on the ground
When
when
he
Walter
shot him.
Stevens was beating him. Walter Stevens viciously beat Bob Hall with the gun over and over again. After beating him viciously, Walter Stevens then shot Bob Hall. So the man's helpless and down on the ground, and then Walter
that's
Stevens
where it's
shot
not
him. There can be
self-defense.
no
You
claim
were
that
powering
that was
over him. You had him. You didn't have to. You weren't in fear of your life.
And, you know, he deserves consequences for that.
He started the confrontation. He started it with the intent of killing him.
I believe that Walter Stevens may have got away with it if we hadn't found Bob when we did.
Yeah, if he
before
wouldn't
his
have
body
said
was
nothing about the
completely
fire.
destroyed by that fire.
He'd have got away with it all.
His bones were actually burned and disintegrated. So all we had left was part of one arm and a little bit of a torso and some of his head. He was not recognizable as a body. Walter Stevens was sentenced to 40 years to life as a result of his crime. 15 years for the murder, plus 25 years for the use of the weapon.
To me, that seems in excess.
30 years altogether, right?
I do think that Walt was
Wait, you said 15 and how
pushed
much?
over the edge.
No.
And he snapped.
Yes, 15 and what?
I know that
45?
some of my family members were happy that he got second degree. I personally think it should have been first degree murder.
She lied. That's
And
why
all
she
that
looked
went
off
with
and then
that.
said it. She lied because she know her son was the one that did it.
Bob
She know her
Hall
son
may have
kept messing
started
with
their
her.
feud, but Walter
Walter
Stevens
finished it.
You forgot two very important things, Walter. You didn't follow rules. And two very important rules that you should have remembered. Most of all, love thy neighbor as yourself. And a biggie,
really?
thou shalt not kill.
But your son was the one that provoked it. Come on, man. Stop trying to cope. Anyway, you know what I'm saying? Rest in peace to his son, though. You know what I mean? It's never a good time whenever somebody gets taken out, but he was provoking that. I ain't gonna lie. Y'all let me know how y'all feel about it in the comments and stuff. But I personally think that man provoked that. But y'all like and subscribe to the channel, man. I'm Hefe, and I'm gonna see y'all on the next one. I'm finna get out of here because these dogs want to eat. I'm finna go feed my babies. All right, y'all. Be breezy.